to talk about.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of For the Love of Wrestling. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade of Wrestling, J.J. Williams. Happy Tuesday. Good to see everybody start filing in here this morning, this afternoon, wherever you are. I am going to apologize in advance for this Raw review because there was some shit that went down last night that I am going to not be nice about in my venting. Thankfully, by the time we get there, we should be past the 5-minute mark so I can get away with language and all that good junk, but fair warning. Raw kicked off last night with Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. Drew McIntyre came out to the ring. He began cutting a promo. Seth Rollins came out, and the two had a little bit of a verbal joust back and forth. Drew talked about how, Seth is right, how he does want to get the bloodline back, how he does want to make them suffer, how he wants to win a championship in front of people. And Seth fires back at him and tells Drew that he is like the last thing that he is worried about right now. I'm pretty sure that's some foreshadowing for the fact that Drew will more than likely win at WrestleMania. Because if Seth isn't focused on him, Drew's already got the upper hand. We then saw the first of many video packages to hype up our gauntlet match participants. Of course, main event is a gauntlet match where the winner gets a shot at the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania against Gunther. First promo we see is for Chad Gable. And man, the WWE team went all out on this package. The others, not so much if I'm being honest, but they really wanted to sell Chad Gable as a potential Intercontinental champion. See if you can find this promo online if you missed it, or go back and watch Raw because this video package was just fire. First match of the night was Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan. Now, don't get me wrong. This was a fantastic match. Both women showed up, showed out, put it all on the line. My problem with it is, even though I'm not the hugest Liv fan, match has done nothing to help Liv. Ever since she made her return at the Rumble, I think she's maybe won one match. She's pretty much lost everything that she's done. And while I understand you don't want to hand Becky a loss going into Mania against a dominant champion like Mommy, if Liv is supposed to be on this revenge tour, you can't have her constantly losing either. Liv needs to be getting some more victories than she's getting. So it's very much a catch-22 here because, again, you don't want Becky to lose going into Mania, but you need to keep Liv strong, and I don't think they're keeping Liv strong. They're making her look weak on a consistent basis. This is the same woman who cashed in the briefcase and defeated Ronda Rousey. They need to do a little bit more to keep Liv looking strong. After the match, Rhea Ripley comes out and some words are exchanged. This then brings us to Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis, who announce their major announcement that they're going to have tonight. The Judgment Day will be defending their tag team championships at WrestleMania in a 6-pack ladder match. So you'll have the Judgment Day versus 3 teams from Raw and 2 teams from SmackDown. Now, I've seen a lot of people online talking about how that's it. That's what the major announcement was. Everybody swore that the announcement was going to be the separation of the tag team championships. Guys, what if the six-pack ladder match is how they do it? Think about this for a minute. Now, we don't know everybody that's going to be in the match. Hell, we barely know who are going to be in the qualifying matches for Raw. We know absolutely nothing about the SmackDown side of things. You know what I mean? Like we have no clue. And yes, I'm stalling here for a second because I'm going to display the image. So forgive me. I wasn't prepared for that eventuality. I didn't think about it. So as it's loading in, again, we're going to have 3 teams from Raw, 2 from SmackDown, and the Judgment Day. Here's the teams that are going to be competing to qualify on Raw. The New Day versus Otis and Tozawa. You can pretty much figure the New Day is going to take that one. Then you've got Veer and Sangha versus the Awesome Truth. You can pretty much figure Awesome Truth is going to take that one. Then you got the Creeds versus DIY. That one can really go either way. I'd like to see the Creeds go. Got a feeling it'll be DIY. Okay. So why not have it be where, theoretically speaking, R-Truth and we'll say Elton Prince from Pretty Deadly each grab a title at the same time? WWE could then handle this one of 2 ways. Either R-Truth and Elton Prince are the tag team champions, which might make for interesting television, or the Awesome Truth become Raw tag champions, Pretty Deadly become SmackDown tag champs. I think this match is going to be how they split the titles without announcing in advance they're splitting the titles. And I feel like it's got to be 2 people like Truth and a member of Pretty Deadly, because the facial reactions from the top of the ladder from both of them will just be priceless because they're more comedy characters. You know what I mean? It's like, and then you can then go into contendership and you can have Awesome Truth versus the Creeds, Awesome Truth versus DIY, Awesome Truth versus Priest and Balor, or Priest and JD. You know, you can then start to spiral and really get the divisions flexing again. But I honestly believe this is how we're going to get the title split. What do you guys think? Emmanuel seems to agree with me in the chat. I already threw that up there. Thank you for that, Emmanuel. But do you guys agree with me? Because honestly, I would rather them not announce a split of the titles and just let it look like it happened accidentally. Maybe it's just me. All right. Exactly. We don't know what they're cooking up with the tag team situation. But I think Triple H is the type of guy that would pull something like this. And Safet seems to agree also. So now we get to the portion of the show where I'm really going to go off here. And again, fair warning. Ivy Nile and Maxine Dupree versus Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. First of all, Indy Hartwell gets the pin. Her and Candice win the match. My issue isn't with that. My issue is with Candice LeRae. Those of you that have followed the multiverse of media for a while know that I already have a disdain for Candice LeRae, going back to a personal encounter with her when she was still an up-and-comer on the indie circuit. Number one, WWE booking. What the fuck are you thinking? Turning this, we won't call it a tragedy, but this traumatic experience that Maxine went through at a house show into a storyline. That in and of itself is fucked up. That in and of itself is unnecessary. And then you add in the addition of Candice LeRae. Just verbally berating Maxine when she's actually putting on a good match. I could understand if Maxine was in there fucking up, you pull that trigger. But Maxine was actually in there crisp, clean, nailing the moves, not botching. And you have the audacity to get into her face and criticize her and talk about why the fans are booing her and the fact that the girls in the locker room don't like her. And then you reference her dead brother. Now, at first, I thought she was just talking about Max Dupree, the character that LA Knight used to portray with the Maximum Male models. And maybe in storyline that is accurate. That is who they were trying to reference. But then the news comes out that Maxine Dupree legitimately lost her brother. I think I read it was a car accident. And now people are trying to compare what Candice is doing to what Christian does on a weekly basis. The difference between what Candice has done and what Christian does is Christian is 100% acting. Candice has always been a vindictive, bitchy twat. This is who she really is. And that's where I have a problem with it. We then have the Judgment Day confront Pierce and Aldis in the office regarding WrestleMania. Very upset that they're going to have to defend their titles in a ladder match because Finn Balor is afraid of heights against 5 other teams. They want to know whose idea it was. They allude to the fact that it was Aldis's idea because first they ask Pierce, then they ask Aldis, and Aldis says that he's not at liberty to say, or he would rather not say. So definitely alludes to the fact that it is him. What's going on, Walter? Good to see you. Exactly, Safet. Exactly. We then go to a sit-down in-ring interview with Michael Cole and Cody Rhodes. This is, of course, where I grabbed the thumbnail from. This was a fantastic interview. I highly recommend everybody go back and rewatch this, or if you missed it, seek it out on social media. I'm not going to go into all the details, but this is a very passionate interview, and Cody gets really emotional here as he talks about the people that are a part of his story. He talks about his sister, who Rock didn't mention in the promo. He talks about how he's unable to hand the title to his father, but he can still hand it to his mother. He talks about Brandy openly for the first time that I can remember on WWE television, at least since his return. Brandy is not somebody that usually gets mentioned. We haven't even seen her on TV since he came back. He talks about all these people. He talks about people that he's met, kids, and people fighting for their lives. And I wonder if they're not overhyping him finishing the story. I go back and I think about the promo from SmackDown where The Rock said, "If you don't win, this is it. This is your last chance." And of course, I will be going more in depth into all of that later on today when everybody gets the opportunity to go inside the mind of the Renegade. Noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. I will be going more in depth into the WrestleMania scenario, how I would book it, and why Roman Reigns should retain at WrestleMania 40. Make sure you guys tune in for that. We then had a Ricochet Gauntlet video package, followed by one for JD McDonough. Again, great packages, not near as good as Gable's, but still really well done. I agree with both of you guys. After those two video packages, we go backstage. We see Liv Morgan. She's kind of like pouting in a corner about her loss. Becky Lynch comes up to her and extends her hand. The two shake hands. And then Nia Jax comes out of nowhere and just attacks both of them. Next match of the evening, Kabuki Warriors defending their titles against Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. Again, this was a fantastic match between all four women. Kabuki Warriors retain, but I am definitely getting the feeling that we are going to get a multi-woman tag team title match as well. Probably not a ladder match because we're doing that for the men's tag titles, but I could see something similar being done for the women as a way to get some of these other teams on the card. Kabuki Warriors versus Ivy and Maxine, Indy and Candice, Natalia and Tegan, Shayna and Zoe, some teams from SmackDown maybe. Maybe we can do Bianca and Jade. We can do Chelsea and Piper, who haven't really been featured a whole lot since they lost their titles. Katana and Kaden. Some kind of multi-woman tag match take on the Kabuki Warriors. We then had a backstage segment with the Judgment Day and Andrade. Apparently, the Judgment Day is looking to potentially recruit Andrade for some business dealings. something that was initially brought up by Dominic Mysterio, who was absent. You know, Dominic is on his honeymoon. He got married last weekend. We showed some images of the ceremony on open mic night last weekend. So we have this whole segment, and then Rhea and Finn even seemed to vouch for Dom about how doing business with this guy might be a good idea. So, going to be interesting to see how this develops, whether it turns into a match at WrestleMania 40. Excuse me. That's not a bad idea, Emmanuel, but there's not that many women's tag teams down in NXT. Most of the women down there are singles. That's part of why they unified the titles, is because there's not a whole lot of tag teams down there for the women. We then had Shinsuke Nakamura and Bronson Reed gauntlet video packages. The only one we didn't get a video package for is Sami Zayn. So take that for what it's worth. I found that to be kind of interesting. We then had R-Truth versus Damian Priest. This was a very fun match. DIY and Judgment Day were both out at ringside. Truth nailed John Cena's 5 moves of doom, which if you don't know what those are, it's the shoulder tackle, shoulder tackle, proto bomb, you can't see me taunt, and the 5-knuckle shuffle. He then hit the attitude adjustment and the STF. Almost was able to get Priest to tap, but he didn't. South of Heaven from Priest gets the victory for him. Again, just a fun match here between these two guys. We then had Becky Lynch backstage, and she challenges Nia Jax to a last woman standing match next week on Raw. Definitely not a smart move from Becky this close to WrestleMania to go into a last woman standing match against somebody like Nia Jax. Becky is more than obviously going to win this match because, again, we don't want her to lose momentum going into WrestleMania. But still, I don't think it's a smart move for her. We then had Jey Uso come out, and he challenges Jimmy to a match at WrestleMania. We've been waiting for this trigger to be pulled, and finally it has. I'm sure we'll get a response from Jimmy on SmackDown. You know, it's the city of brotherly love. So it's the perfect spot to have a brother versus brother match. The question is who wins? Jay seems like the obvious answer because he's main event Jey Uso, but I think Jimmy could benefit more from winning. What do you guys think on that one? Yeet. We then had a Gunther video package hyping up his 640-day reign up to last night as Intercontinental Champion, longest reigning champion of all time. They showed some clips and images of past champions, Pat Patterson, Randy Savage, Honky Tonk Man, Tito Santana, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Eddie Guerrero. Like, they showed a lot of great IC champions over the years. And now we get to our main event, the gauntlet match. Again, 6 men, one-on-one. Once somebody gets pinned, they go to the back and another person comes out. And the gauntlet match starts with Ricochet versus JD McDonough. And these two guys go for close to 20 minutes before JD McDonough gets put away by Ricochet. Next out is Big Bronson Reed, and Bronson makes very short work of Ricochet. Next out is Sami Zayn. Sami and Bronson go for close to 10 minutes before Sami is able to eliminate Bronson Reed. Shinsuke Nakamura is the next one to come out, but before he can get to the Reed, Bronson Reed attacks Sami, hits him with the tsunami. Shin and Sami then go for about 5 minutes or so before Sami is able to steal the victory. Shinsuke almost gets it right out the gate, but Sami is able to duck him, and the two continue going for a little bit. Last one to hit the ring is Chad Gable. Winner faces Gunther after almost 15 minutes. After almost 15 minutes, Sami is able to defeat Chad Gable. Sami is now your new number one contender to Gunther at WrestleMania. After the match, Gable comes and he helps Sami up. Sami gives him a hug and they embrace in the ring. Gunther comes out and the show goes off the air. This was a phenomenal match. A lot of people think Chad Gable should have won here. And while I won't disagree that there was a lot of story to give Chad Gable that victory, and especially since he had arguably the best produced video package to hype up this match, I sadly I feel like Chad Gable doesn't have the drawing ability that Sami does, at least not for a major match like Mania. I could see here's what I could see happening. And again, we all know I don't work for WWE. I'm not a writer. This is just fantasy booking here. I say that we have Sami defeat Gunther at WrestleMania. After the match next week with Otis and Tozawa, we have Gable turn heel. And then at Backlash in France, we have Sami versus Gable. And maybe Gable can win the title there. Yes, that hot potatoes the title a little bit from having a 600 and we'll say 60-ish day run, maybe 670-day run to a 30-day run. But I think that's a good way to get the belt to Gable. Because at this point, Sami doesn't need it. It's just about dethroning Gunther. And Sami, I feel, is a main event enough star that giving him that match at WrestleMania, we can move the belt from Gunther. But because he's not looked at as such a way, Gable can then be a heel. Everybody compares Gable to Angle anyways, to Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle was so much better as a heel than he was a face. Let Chad Gable be that guy. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know. Keen Mike seems to agree with me, chanting for Sami. Could also turn into a triple threat. That's always a possibility. Emmanuel points out that there's a photo of Chad not having his shoulders down, so it could be a triple threat match. I guess that's always a possibility. We did get a super chat from Walter, $5. Thank you very much. Says Jimmy should accept the challenge, but Roman questions, who told you you can do that? Then after Jimmy realizes Roman is the issue, they unite. That's possible. I wouldn't mind seeing the Usos reunite at WrestleMania after their match. After all, again, it's the city of brotherly love. So to have them come back together in Philly would be awesome, as long as they don't come back together and rejoin the bloodline. That's the thing I don't want. I want them to be separated from Roman. But I definitely like the whole Roman saying, "Who says that you could do that?" I do like that little factor into it. All right, that's going to just about do it for today. We're going to take just a moment, run our watch along trailer, show you everything that's going to be coming up in the next few months that we will be doing watch alongs for, and then we will be back right after this.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
And yes, announced on Impulsive this morning, SummerSlam will be in Cleveland, Ohio, at the stadium of the Cleveland Browns. So got to add that to the list as well. But that is everything that'll be coming up watch along wise here across the multiverse of media. Make sure you guys tune in later on today, 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern for Stat Boy Sports Bar. Open every Tuesday. Again, at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. We will go inside the mind of the Renegade as I give you my reasons as to why Roman Reigns should retain at WrestleMania. And then tomorrow, AEW Dynamite Big Business Watch Along kicking off at 4:45 Pacific, 7:45 Eastern Time. The more than likely impending debut of the boss, Sasha Banks, plus a stellar lineup of matches already announced, including Willow Nightingale versus Riho, which that's the match where I think Mercedes is going to make her debut. If in fact she does make her debut, keep in mind it was New Japan Resurgence last year in Long Beach, California. Mercedes Moné versus Willow Nightingale in the finals, where Mercedes got injured. As a ad-lib improv call, Willow ended up winning the championship to become the first New Japan Strong Women's Champion. So there is unfinished business there. So I see that being the spot where Mercedes will debut. We've also got Samoa Joe versus Wardlow. Some good stuff that'll be coming up tomorrow as part of Big Business. Of course, tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. I will be back to discuss NXT. And as long as I get the opportunity to watch it, I will have Power and Explosion as well. Otherwise, I will be covering that during my Wednesday review, or excuse me, my Thursday review of AEW Dynamite. Until then, thank you guys for joining me and tuning in. I'll see you guys in a couple of hours as we go inside the mind of the Renegade. Take it easy.
The Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.
Thank you, JJ. Appreciate you.